Brandon Judd with us again, and happy to have him, the National Border Patrol Council president. Brandon, a made-up crisis and shifting, that's the way Mayor Lightfoot was putting it. I think whatever your opinion of Governor Abbott, he knows about the crisis. He knows about the 2 million plus getting through the border. It's largely along his border. So the mayor might complain about 50 new migrants being dropped off at her doorstep, but I think he's had to deal with a few more. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Neil, when you look at this, she's only had to deal with 2 buses to this point. That's 100 people. Governor Abbott is having to deal with nearly 7,000 people a day. Not 200, 7,000 a day. And she's complaining about this. And then we also have to recognize that these people were going to Chicago Anyway, anytime that they get apprehended, we process them. They have to give us an address, a verifiable address. And a lot of these people are going to the Chicago area. So he's just facilitating that travel there anyway. But she's now calling him racist and xenophobic because he's actually facilitating the travel to where they were intending to go anyhow. And that is what's the problem with this. What she is saying is cheap rhetoric. Rather than actually dealing with the problem where it lies, which is on our borders, she's now going to complain about having to deal with a few hundred people when Governor Abbott is dealing with 7,000 people per day. She has an outsized voice with this White House. All she has to do is talk to the White House to tell them to actually do something to get the border under control, which we can do. We just have to have the policies, and then maybe we would get this under control.
Well, you raise up a good point, because I always think politics interferes with this, but we have a crisis at the border. It's not a red or blue issue. It's a very, very real issue, and it's out of control. And I just wonder here, this is a consistent theme I'm hearing not only out of the mayor today, and Eric Adams has said much the same thing about all the buses coming to his city. You've heard, many arguing, including the Homeland Security Secretary Mayorkas, who has been saying that it's wreaked havoc, that is, the governor's policies on the entire country. Well, if we stop it there are buses going nowhere, anywhere. So why don't we get back to that?
Yeah, Neil, this White House knows exactly what they need to do to control illegal immigration. They know exactly what to do to stop the drugs from flowing into this country. They just don't do it. And what's funny about that is they've taken a calculated risk. You hear the White House talking about a lot of different things. They'll talk about foreign policy. They'll talk about inflation. They'll talk about all of the issues that are facing the American people, but they will not talk about border security because they've taken the calculated risk. They said that border security was not going to hurt them in the midterms. And if it doesn't hurt them in the midterms, then we can expect to continue to see this crisis going on. If it does hurt them, then they know that it's going to continue on into 2024, and they might do something. But if it doesn't hurt their political fortunes, they're going to continue to let this border be what it is, and they're going to let it be out of control. And the American people are going to pay for these policies. And that's what's unfortunate.
And Brandon, what's odd about it, they talk about manufactured crisis and all this. I know the politics back and forth, but it gets ridiculous. I mean, you can see these images, you can count these numbers, you can see, all the horror, on a daily basis. I don't know many beyond Fox that cover what's happening there, but it is what it is, and it's inarguable and indisputable. It is out of control. So when I hear this consistent theme blaming this so-called manufactured crisis, even though it's a very real issue when these buses come to their cities on the part of sanctuary cities that say, all right, we're sanctuaries, but we really don't want to work that hard at it. That does seem to be the message I'm getting from them.
And it is. And when you look at this, when you talk about what's inhumane, it's inhumane that we're approaching 800 deaths on the border. Prior to this administration, the record was just a little over 300. Now we're approaching 800 deaths. When you look at all of the vulnerable women and children that put themselves in the hands of these dangerous cartels, that's inhumane. It's these policies that are driving us. It's the magnet. It's the catch and release magnet that is inviting people to cross our borders illegally. That's inhumane. Why isn't Mayor Lightfoot talking about that? She only talks about this issue when it's going to directly affect her. And she only does it when it's done on in the light of day. This has been happening over and over and over again. Thousands of people have been heading to Chicago. They crossed the border illegally, and she doesn't say anything until the public becomes aware of it. And when her citizens see these buses coming in, that's when she's going to say something, because now she knows that they're going to be up in arms with how much taxpayer money it's going to take care of these people. But again, Texas has been dealing with this for over a year and a half. Thousands of people every single day. Now she's dealing with a couple hundred, and she's upset. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's a fraction of what the governor and governors before him in Texas, even in Arizona, have been dealing with on a routine basis. Welcome to the real world there. And Brandon, thank you very, very much.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.